Camera rolling, action.
Hi Shankar, welcome to Sangam. Why did you take chemical?
Okay, it's a bit embarrassing to say, but chemistry marks in 12th were good. So I studied chemistry, then I studied chemical technology. I would also tell people, my son and people of my son's age, that try and experience as many things as you can. And in media, perhaps it is easier to implement that you become a subject specialist and you keep growing. You want to be an individual contributor. It's not that easy in a corporate environment. Physical experiences, sports experiences, travel. Travel is a big thing, big teacher.
So you're not just meaning experience in terms of what we do in offices or environment, but just generally as a person to get experience about what they can do.
True. Duck and weave.
Duck and weave.
Okay, so duck and weave, I think he was taking his example from cricket facing fast bowlers.
Okay. Also, a lot of AI things are coming in where it's throwing out a lot of answers. Somebody was telling me the questions are more important than the answers right now.
True.
What changed there and what was the key learnings there?
You could actually do something about stuff you were complaining about earlier. Crossing the river by feeling the stones. So you get into the river and then you feel the stones and you go.
Okay.
Experience comes cheap at any price. So I think that's
experience comes cheap at any price. Okay, that's a
put
quote.
That in your pipe and smoke it.
Hi Shankar, welcome to Sangam. I think as part of the community, we are doing a series of interview where we are talking to leaders and faculty members about various, we call it learning mindset per se, saying that we can go through your journey on how you have built your own career, and hopefully during this conversation, we could pick up some lessons and your journey would inspire somebody, a 20-year-old who is sitting there and wanting to build a career. Hopefully that will give an experience and your experience will be useful for them, right? So maybe, I mean, I was just going through your profile early on during 1994, you have started your career as a chemical technologist, that's what it says, and then you moved on to a journalist role. So what pivoted the shift? Why a shift from a chemical technology role to a
So thank you for having me, Diljith. I think it's a lovely initiative, Sangam, and I think great things lie ahead.
Great.
And nice of you to say that this would be an inspiration for, I don't know about that, but I'll tell you what I know.
Yeah.
So 94, you're right. I had just completed, in fact, 93, I completed a degree in chemical technology from Mumbai University, that with specialization in pharmaceuticals and fine chemicals.
Wow.
Fine chemicals, as you know, are chemicals made in very small quantities, which are highly pure. They have a wide range of uses. So that's a big industry in India. So the job market was fairly good. I got into a company which was producing vitamin B12 by fermentation. So I was on the shop floor production guy. I have to say, not very suited to that, as I discovered. I mean, it went okay. I did 1 year there.
Why did you take it up? I mean, why did you take chemical? I mean, any specific
reason? At that
reason?
age, I was very unsure of myself. I was always writing. But okay, it's a bit embarrassing to say, but chemistry marks in 12th were good. So I studied chemistry, then I studied chemical technology.
Okay.
Just drifted into it, frankly.
Okay.
And as I realized it wasn't my calling, what is your calling takes a while to find out. For some people, they're very clear from day one. I'm sure a guy like you would have known
Not
from
really.
the beginning.
I think everybody discovers it on the way.
Takes a while, yeah. No, but you have a tech inclination, which I didn't have a clear inclination other than writing.
Okay.
But at that point, career in journalism wasn't the first thing that struck me. So I worked for a year here, 94. And in this, few interesting things about this place, as in you would do these 16-hour shifts sometimes.
Wow.
So the normal shift is 8 hours on the production floor. You're supervising, so-called supervising people much older than you, etc. So you're learning on the job.
Okay.
Then you go to the gate, your reliever doesn't come. So then you change back into your work clothes, uniform, go back and work for another 8 hours.
Okay.
And it so happened that twice, 2 relievers did not come. So after 8 hours, the guy did not come. After 16 hours, the guy did not come. So you do a 24-hour shift.
Wow.
That happened twice.
So what's the role here? I mean, just for somebody who doesn't know anything about chemical, this one.
So chemical production is essentially at that level, trainee, management trainee, technical trainee level, is you are put under a senior in a shift. And the two of you basically run that shift. So there are workmen, there are technicians. In our case, we were producing vitamin B12 from fermentation.
Okay.
So it's a detailed, long, it's an American patented process which was owned by Merck Sharp and Dome originally and then inherited by the Indian owners. So basically you make the drug, purify it, and then it's ready for formulation. So we did the bulk drug. So it's essentially seeing that everything goes as per SOP.
Okay.
Very close to the hearts of people like you, very process oriented.
Got it.
But it took it didn't rock my boat.
Of course.
Yeah. So 1 year down the line, I saw an ad for somebody showed me an ad for Marico, actually a sales role in Marico, but I didn't even see that ad. Below that ad, there was an ad for the Economic Times on the desk, the desk editor, I think it said. So I went there, I took a test, and after that, I joined them and I stayed there for six years, I think.
But you already was interested in some bit of editing and journalism in that sense. Were you intuitively doing some bit of reading, writing, part of it during the process?
So I was always reading quite a lot. Read everything that I was interested in a wide variety of things. Some areas more than others, cricket, sports, murder, mystery, biography, that kind of stuff. But I meandered into the chemical technology space, and I meandered out. I didn't actually meander out. I got out quite decisively. So I think if you look at my career, the only, and it sounds like a cliche, but the only constant is change. So I'm doing my 11th job now. I'm 56 years old. And this is not, 11th job, but it's also the third area in which I'm working. So I don't know if you noted, but started off with chemical technology, then went to media for 30 years. And now I'm in online education. I'm I don't know if I started out believing in it, but now I'm a great believer in change and gaining different types of experience.
How did you adapt to that change, right? When you worked in that floor for like purely chemical and these things, and then you moved into this role. So definitely from a learning point of view, it should be a great, I mean, it's not you studied chemistry as your this one background and then you're shifting your entire, so there should be some learning process that would have happened to make you shift also and also adapt to the new role that you have taken up. So how did you take that shift and how did you adapt to that change?
True, I think you would expect that to be the case, but I found it fairly easy, which suggests that I was in the wrong place at the first instance, and then I came to the right place. So the newsroom is a very exciting place. If you are an adrenaline junkie and you like things moving fast, you will almost automatically fit in there. Of course, there is a learning process wherein you get into the rhythm of the thing, and the rhythm of that floor is very different from a chemical production floor. So there is that mindset change you need to make. But if you are naturally more inclined to this in the first place, then it becomes easier. So it took me a couple of months. The hours were very different. So you worked sometimes late.
So what was your role, the initial role?
So initially was a desk editor. So I was on the desk for a very short while. So I was editing copy, but I was also trying to do some writing on the side. So the desk shift would start at say 5 or 6. It's quite a long time back. I don't remember exactly when. But during the day, I would go on my own time and go and do some reporting, come back. And the good thing about journalism and reporting is that nobody can really hide the work which you do. So it is high visibility, whether you do badly or well. I mean, it's good if you do well and bad for you if you do badly. People will spot what you can do. So it's not a case where people can hide your light under a bushel in that sense. So my work was noticed to some extent. And then my luck was that the lady was covering the pharmaceutical industry from which I had come. She left. So I got that job.
So there is some connection between what you did in terms of chemical background helped you in a way too, because you are covering a bit on that.
So that said, the 2 guys before me had no chemical background. But I did, of course, cite it. And it helps when you are speaking to CEOs, interviewing CEOs. If you go to Dr. Anji Reddy at that point and you say that you are from UTCT at that point, and he's also from that kind of background, then they take you a little, I mean, they will talk to you, give you the time of day. But it's not an absolute prerequisite.
Okay, great. You were talking about change was only constant, right? I mean, you moved from this industry to mostly journalism and market. In that also, you have played various different type of roles. So you have changed your attitude and the job role, challenging yourself to be in different, not just the same role for a certain long time. And now you have made a major pivot from journalism to an educational kind of role and technology kind of space. How did each of the shift shape you as a human? And what was the learning during that process? I mean, how did you adapt to this? I mean, anybody who is wanting to, usually they're changing career, even domain, right? I mean, changing career itself is a scary journey for many of them.
Sure.
So what would your advice to somebody who is doing that? Should they shift or should they stick to the same field? What do you think?
So I'll answer about me first and then try and answer the second part.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that is true of a lot of people who gravitate towards journalism and media is that they have fairly low boredom tolerance. That is a nice way of putting it, but the other side of it is that they are not particularly process compliant. I mean, they like a little bit of I don't know, chaos is one way of putting it.
Okay.
But they also like variety. So I took to this very naturally. It was my natural way of being. So you got into sort of first desking, that is editing copy, then reporting, then writing features, then writing for the investment side of it, then managing a team, then moving from one company to another, then moving from one country to another to a different role each time. So this answered your regular need for variety and need for change. So to me, and maybe I'm making a virtue out of it, but getting new experiences, different types of experiences is critical. And that is what I think I would also tell people, my son and people of my son's age, that try and experience as many things as you can. Now, I believe the Gen Z are very big on experiential experiences as opposed to in a job.
Correct.
Or they don't want to own houses, they want to experience differences. So in a sense, we were a bit like that, but we were also constrained by the fact that obviously we didn't have the money to be experiencing a range of things.
Correct.
So you applied for different kind of jobs to different kinds of jobs to A, keep going ahead, and B, can get different experiences. And C, of course, the money was always a factor. In media, never used to pay that well. So you kept trying to look for the next break to see if you could enhance your CV.
Okay. So, how was the journey from the news editor? So, what is the next thing the big thing that happened as part of the shift?
So the hierarchy goes as a sub-editor. There are 2 or 3 streams there.
So you were in the same position, same.
No, kept moving. So sub-editor, senior sub-editor, chief sub-editor, that keeps going. So I moved away from that. So typically the career path is you start off on the desk, you do years and years and years of reporting, and then the senior jobs are typically on the production side again. So they are not desk as per se, but you are taking decisions about how some things are laid out for a newspaper, for example. So that's broadly what I followed, but I followed it in a slightly different way. So initially desk in Mumbai, and then reporting in Mumbai up to the assistant editor role there. So I was overseeing something there. I created a few products like ET in the classroom and so on and so forth. Then moved to Reuters, which was a very different. So that Reuters is very real time. So their premium is on accuracy and speed. Not so much on long pieces and so on and so forth. So I was there. Again, you are encouraged to write, but the first thing is that you should be beating the opposition, that is Bloomberg and Dow Jones at that point, on speed. So I gained a lot of experience there. In 2 years, I was with Reuters in Mumbai. Then I learned German because I was told that would improve your hireability in Germany, because not too many people in the system knew German other than the Germans themselves and some of the Brits, I think. So I got that job. And there it was more about, it was similar in terms of the rhythm of it, speed, and but there was a lot of having to understand what was being said, because it's being said in a foreign language very often. So you had to read the local papers and pick up stuff from there. There were some famous accidents that happened when you misunderstood the nuance of what was being said and you put it out. So in Reuters, accuracy is such a premium that mistakes are a disaster. So a couple of those, but nothing, hopefully, luckily nothing too serious. And picked up reasonably fast. And there was a lot of help from the organization, German tutor, personal German tutor, etc., etc. Plus your colleagues on the team would also help you. So I was the only Indian there at that point. Then so that was Reuters. Then London was running various teams. So different set of skills, man management for the first time. And you got rid of certain. So I went there thinking everybody is equal, everybody has to be treated equally. Big mistake. That was one big learning there, and that is something that if I can tell people, maybe they will avoid making that mistake. You treat everybody is different. you tailor your approach to each member on the team, and don't make this mistake of just being even-handed. I'm not saying being unfair, but you have to treat everybody differently. So that I made mistakes there and learned from those mistakes, and then moved on to running senior teams, and then moved on to a news editing role. News editing again requires this was the first time experiment at Reuters, a second time experiment where one team in London was running the big stories across specialisms, which means sports, politics, general news, equities, markets in general. That required a fair amount of diplomacy because you were dealing with the subject experts and taking away their stories in that sense. That went, it was a mixed experience, I have to say.
You are at a senior role during this time?
I was at a senior role. By then I was at a senior role, but each thing was different. And Reuters is not a big believer in linear progression. You can do one thing and then be doing something completely different. So you'll find guys there who've been with the company for 30 years, going back to what they were doing roughly when they joined. And they see no disgrace in that. It's in fact a very good system. They get paid much more, but they
you
are doing,
can do other things.
They are doing jobs which are at a much more advanced level of what is essentially the same role. So they start on the desk and they end up as senior, very senior deskers when they end. They're still editing copy, but the copy they edit is possibly more advanced and that kind of thing, but it is essentially the same thing.
Got it.
They get paid more and I'm far more experienced, much better at what they do, but so that's a career path in India that we don't have.
Because you are just going and then you take a managerial role. Correct. And then you
So in Indian media, and I think outside media also, the progression is through managing bigger and bigger teams.
Yes.
So here you can do that. I think there is a lesson there. And in media, perhaps it is easier to implement that you become a subject specialist and you keep growing. You want to be an individual contributor. Whereas it's not that easy in a corporate environment where you want to be managing more and more.
Okay. You speak about experimenting, right? What would you tell somebody who is entering into a career space? How much experimentation should they do? If they don't have, most of them, when you talk to them, they don't have clarity on what they should do, right? What is a career now? Even the things are very changing very fast. How should they start experimenting? And where? And what would you suggest?
So I think the science is saying that, and I'm taking a different example entirely, children should be exposed to as many sports as possible, as many things as possible in their in their formative years. Sportsmen should be, kids who are interested in sports and young sportsmen should be playing many sports rather than specializing in one. So if you take that allegory to the workplace, it's good to be trying different things before you decide on what you want to do.
Correct.
So I think in some of the US universities, there is this undeclared major business where you can study for a year without deciding what subject you want to study. That would be a fantastic model to appropriate. It's a fantastic model for the workplace also. So if you can do that, in the sense you have the ability to be trained in a variety of, or you have the opportunity to be trained in a variety of things, and then you begin to understand towards which you gravitate more.
But as a student, so much choice is not there, right? Because they are usually confused. They are just passed out of college, maybe done an engineering degree or a master's degree, but that our education system definitely don't give that kind of experimentation option. So is there any practical thing that they can do?
I think they have to go actively seeking for these experiences, and it may not be all educational. So physical experiences, sports experiences, travel is a big thing, big teacher.
So you're not just meaning experience in terms of what we do in offices or environment, but just generally as a person to get experience about what they can do.
True. So a lot of people take a gap year, for example. They go and do different things. That we don't really do here. We don't encourage that. But I'm just saying that those kind of things are not a bad idea. So the idea is to build a body of experience. So in my case, I got that over a 30-year period by working in different places. Maybe that can be accelerated so that you understand your own mind, or younger people understand their own minds early on by experiencing a lot of things and then making a decision, a reasonably informed decision at a certain age about what they want to do.
That's great.
That doesn't preclude them changing their minds later.
Correct.
But at least you have a sense of what you want.
That's great. When you talk about failure, right? Any leadership journey growth goes through a lot of failure, and people sometimes undermine the failure and ability to come back. I'm not looking at the failure per se in terms of what you have done, but I'm sure that learnings would have harnessed how shaped who you are as a person in terms of managing people on the later stage.
Right.
So you want to kind of share some experiences from early career, and also when how that would have translated in your role as a CEO later on, how you, while managing people, because
I can think of at least three things. One of which I already mentioned, which is having a very kind of monochrome view of people, thinking that everybody is the same. I came from a good place in the sense desiring to be fair-minded.
Yes.
But in so doing, you mess things up because everybody expects different things and everybody has different levels of ability. So you cannot be
But
uniform.
how do you practically implement this philosophy? Because you have to have policies which are generic for an organization, or how do you practically embrace this theory?
So I'm not talking so much of the policies. The policies will be there and those have to be implemented. I'm talking of your interaction with people and setting targets for them in your head, working with them, understanding what makes them tick. If you go out and say that I think everybody has to be treated, expectations of everybody are the same, and everybody has to perform at the same level, and I will reward everybody equally, etc., etc., it doesn't work. So my sense is you have different expectations, you set different goals, and you reward people differently, and you interact with people differently also. So one thing that has floated up over the years, and this is something I've also read about, is that you spend most of your time with people you think have the potential to develop. Initially in one's career, you would have spent time with the people who had the least potential because you thought you could bring them onto the path.
Correct.
And I don't mean this spiritually, but I mean you can correct their difficulties by spending more and more time with them. I think that's a bad approach because those people are probably in the wrong place. They can go out and find something else to do. You should be focusing on the people who have the potential and you can take forward. That is one. The second one, I think, was feedback given to me by one of my bosses when I was working in Delhi, which was that you need to duck and weave.
Duck and weave.
Okay, so duck and weave, I think he was taking this example from cricket facing fast bowlers.
Okay.
My tendency was always to take things head on. If you take a bouncer head on, of course, you know what the result of that will be. So I think he saw that and gave me the advice that you need to occasionally let things go, need to kind of live to fight another day. So you need to have a slightly longer term in mind. The third one is something that I picked up recently. So between my last job and this one, I took up coaching. I learned to coach. So I did 2 levels of the ICF framework.
What kind of coaching?
This is executive coaching, leadership coaching, life coaching. So I think one thing I learned from there was to listen much more and don't judge too quickly. One of my weaknesses has been snap judgments, moving very quickly, connecting the dots and coming to a conclusion. That is partly weakness, partly strength. So I want to retain the strong part of it and get rid of the nonsensical part of it, which leads one to make some fairly exotic decisions sometimes. So sometimes, very often, better to listen, let the person come up with their own solution. One of the key principles of coaching, of course, is to let them coach themselves. You are a kind of sounding board. You create that space for them to be coached.
Okay. So, I mean, how do you connect this to your role as a CEO, right? I mean, is there anything that came from your experience in the ground that when you became the CEO, you wanted? I mean, usually you have this feeling, right? When you are really in a junior position, you go through some experiences, but that later on, when you are at a position where you are able to make changes and make decisions, you have adapted it. Do you have some things in your experience that you have wanted to change, and when you, of course, you spoke about equality and how you manage that, but is there any other experiences that you have?
So I tended to learn lessons from my bosses, both on the positive side and on the negative side as I went through my career. So what not to do and what to do. So one thing I learned was to create and this I learned from at least a couple of bosses on the journalism side, couple of editors, create a certain excitement in the newsroom. And you can apply this to the setup we have here, you can apply this to a corporate setup. Corporate setup, sometimes it takes on a slightly synthetic feel, but in a newsroom where ideas are flowing, the excitement of ideas, right? You get it out there. People on the floor and people who are your colleagues and the people working with you should get a sense that the ship is going somewhere. There are people who will run a very stable ship that will just drift into harbor, and there are people who will run a much faster ship that will, and it may be safer to stay on the stable ship, less chance of falling overboard, but you will find a lot of people will actually prefer being on the faster ship because there is something to look forward to when they come to work every day. So to create that sort of environment, I think is important.
And how did you create?
I think my bosses from whom I learned this were more successful at it than I was, but I keep trying. So new ideas, you challenge the existing setup, continually ask questions. If you look at it negatively or if you phrase it differently, it is keeping people off balance slightly. Now I will let out a secret, but it is basically challenging let's put it positively, challenging the system all the time, asking questions. And asking questions comes naturally to a journalist. You keep querying. So that something that is operating at 70% efficiency moves to 75-80%. I don't know if you'll ever get it to 100%. There are other skills involved in that, but just by asking, by querying, and by changing, you can move things along. So the power of ideas, and it's not that you will be supplying the ideas or all the ideas or some of the ideas even, or even the majority of the ideas. Those ideas will come from the team, and this is where coaching meets this whole phenomenon of creating questioning. So coaching is also about asking questions. So you are asking questions and you will find that the answers will come from the team themselves. I was coached as early in when I was offered the CEO role, I took coaching from an executive coach. And I found that very seldom, in fact, almost never would he give me answers. And I would find the answers would come from my internal, which I never knew I had. So that exists with everyone. So your job is to draw it out.
No, because I was involved in this. I was talking to somebody. I think nowadays, because also a lot of AI things are coming in, where it's throwing out a lot of answers. Somebody was telling me the questions are more important than the answers right now.
True.
Because you can get answers to everything, but the right questions goes a long way to do it. How do you? I mean, like maybe as a journalist, it would have come to you because it's a questioning, but some. A college kid who is trying to develop the skill of questioning and getting stuck, right? So how do somebody develop the skill of questioning and improving themselves in this area? Because now it's a very critical skill that you need to be developed.
No, it's an interesting question in itself. So I think one way, I'm going to try a completely different approach to this. So I like creating explainers. Right, so I'm into this ET in the classroom I told you about. Everywhere I've gone, I've created a explainer product where the media.
What is an explainer?
So you take a concept, what is happening in the current affairs, then you break it down, explain it. So what I would tell the team to create, which is creating these explainers, is that you start off with a basic question, then you put yourself in the head of the person who's reading it and figure out what the next logical question will be. So question A follows, question B follows A, C follows B, D follows D, and it follows a certain train of thought. So if yes, then what? If no, then what? And if it's not a single word answer, how do you develop that theory further? So your questioning framework can build around this. So I'm asking a question, I'm getting a response. Then what? I mean, it always builds on this.
Okay, you go logically towards the end.
So the other example I'm very tempted to draw on is I teach writing to journalism students or to people who like to write. So there is this technique of interviewing called the interview funnel. So you start off by asking open questions, right? You will not ask a question of did you murder so-and-so on the night of October 22nd? So the guy will say no, or maybe yes, it'll make a very interesting interview. You will ask a question that's open, where you are asking for more than a single word answer. It's not a closed question. You will keep asking questions and you will keep narrowing it down. Open questions, open questions, open questions. Occasionally the odd closing question. And it'll go like that. When you detect something like the person says something really interesting, you will go off in that tangent and then come back into the funnel to see if there is something more you can get. So a lot of the best interviews are done like this.
Okay, that's very interesting concept. And then maybe that same principle can be used by like even if you're developing a career or if you're confused on what, I think we also, I mean, we heard about this 5 why, right? I mean, saying you keep on asking why is that like that, why is that like that, why is that like that, unless when you ask an end of the day and then you will get the final why, usually you will, I mean, that's another technique that
true. Of course, remembering to get back into the funnel and not go down the rabbit hole fully is also useful, because you don't know where, sometimes you forget where you started. So you want to maintain a certain discipline in the questioning. It's like hyperlinks, you go on clicking.
But you should know when to stop and come back.
So which is why you need a basic, I mean, what are you going to get out of this discussion, or what are you going to get out of this questioning? You go in with an outcome roughly in mind,
so that you will
go towards
come back to the funnel.
It could so happen that the example I gave, you went in there trying to find out what the person was doing on the evening of the 16th.
Okay.
He or she told you that they committed a murder on that evening. It'll be foolish of you to focus on the walk they took after the murder. The murder becomes the story.
Okay.
So I'm saying, in your questioning, as students, be prepared to go down unexpected ways.
Okay.
But initially, at least, maintain that discipline of
be clear why we are doing that questioning. Especially, I mean, when we are querying in any of these AI tools also, it becomes like it will throw you a lot of answers. And it will take you to a tangents where you are not able to understand what it is. But your idea of funneling may be very important to bring back to saying that why are you asking that question for the first time? Sometimes you forget it because it's throwing out a lot of this.
So I think the key things to remember are not to ask the closed questions to start with. And then when you see something interesting, you can burrow down that rabbit hole, but come back up.
Okay, great. I want to shift a bit. You mentioned a lot of your bosses, and I think mostly when you grow up, you were talking about coaching. The role of a mentor usually plays a key role in shaping you are. So how and usually people think mentor should be one person who is sitting there and giving you gyan, which is not true. Sometimes mentor is a book, a video, or somebody whom you have interacted with. Maybe your interns also become sometimes your own mentors. You never know. So how is your experience in mentorship in shaping who you are, and also how a student should be looking for a mentor, or what is your opinion on that?
I think the mentor, you start by asking, what do you want from the mentor? And this is I think the students could also do that. So they are people who have seen a lot more than you have seen in the area in which you want to develop. And these are people who can fill in your blanks. And these are people who have a certain credibility. So there is a distinction between coaching, consulting, and mentoring.
Okay.
They're all very different things. The thing with coaching is that you ask questions and you solve a problem.
You ask questions and
the other person will come up with their own solution. Mentoring is that you give people the solution.
Okay.
And consulting is that you identify the problem. It's more problem focused. So the guy will come and tell you the problem. No disrespect meant, but so there is a distinction between them. So when you're looking for a mentor, you're actually looking for someone who will hold your hand a little bit, not necessarily someone who will coach you. So this is someone who will effectively tell you that if I were in your position, I would do in such a situation. These are the options open to you. I mean, if he doesn't want to be there's not much spoon feeding, they will tell you that these are the options, you can take the option, they will leave that to you.
That's true.
So when you are a student looking for a mentor, you'll be looking for someone who can do this.
And usually, I just wanted to bring this point, right? Usually mentorship is not got because they never ask, right? Usually when you ask people for something in terms of genuinely wanting to learn, even at a very leadership level, they usually spend that time in the way that is possible for them. So what is your thing about that? Usually people tend not to ask, is it? Or
I think people don't ask. People are diffident. They, as you correctly say, most people in leadership positions are fairly good with people. So subject to their having the time, they will take the trouble to help and mentor. Or at least they can point you in the right direction of someone else who can mentor you.
You have some experience about you taking on a mentorship role somewhere, or any?
So the writing I mentioned. So I used to mentor juniors in that quite a bit. I used to clear their copy, talk to them, spend a lot of time on those things. I have also been mentored. I mean, Reuters had a system wherein you could get a mentor who was typically sitting in another continent who would speak to you once in a while.
Okay.
But very useful because these are people who have navigated the system, knowing how to duck and weave, and understanding the politics of any corporate environment. They could help you a little bit, tell you where to get your build your coalitions, etc., etc. Not that I was great at that, but at least the advice was always there.
Where you are like you moved into a dual role, which is one of the challenging roles, right? In terms of acting as a CEO and also acting as a editorial role. How did you manage that two roles per se in terms of, because usually people now, I mean, I want to bring the context, right, where people are now not only playing one role in an organization, even at a junior level. You are always currently the role demands you to play multiple role in an organizational structure. So how do you want to how do you think, because it's going to be like this, I think it's not going to change, saying that your role will be always especially just after your junior role, you will be playing multiple roles. How do you manage that role, and how do you develop skill sets for dual roles?
That's an interesting one. So I think what is happening now is that people are expected to, very often there is a matrix structure of reporting. Not even talking about my experience, but even now, a lot of people will report effectively to two different bosses, sometimes people in different geographies, and they will have to learn to balance that. There's no shortcut to that, and it helps if the bosses understand that there is a fair amount of stress the employee is being put through by being pulled in two different directions, and they stop pulling at the same time at least. But it's very good for young people entering the workplace. So people talk of a portfolio of careers, a portfolio career where you're doing 6 different things. This is a portfolio career in the same organization. In that sense, you are doing 2 or 3 different roles at the same time. So the one thing I believe younger people want is variety and a lack of boredom. So this gives you a variety and a lack of boredom straight away. It also gives you a layer of stress, but if you can overcome that, and if you know how to manage that, you become that much stronger. So what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You will develop a lot of resilience to that. So what I was doing in my last role, since you asked, was editing the Deccan Herald and running the company that publishes Deccan Herald and Prajavani and a couple of other titles. So 2 distinct roles, but I found that understanding the product inside out helped me very well in the commercial decisions related to Deccan Herald. And Prajavani I understood, even though I couldn't speak the language or read the language, I understood the way the newsroom would work. So it also helps in, so you could ask about the conflict there is between the business, which is always pushing advertising, and the journalists who are a bit resistant typically to advertising taking their space. I think communication is critical. If you explain to the journalists that the survival of the company depends upon business being done and therefore ads coming in, there is more acceptance of more ads coming into the so-called editorial space, the ad-edit ratio being a bit higher.
So in that sense, you also try to combine the skills of both the roles and kind of complement each other, and that should be also what others should be able to try. Like if you're in a technology and a design, maybe you can try and combine these 2 pieces into and bring expertise, I think.
Because nothing stands in isolation anymore. It is more and more and more integrated. So understanding your own organization, various parts of it, how they work, how they talk to each other, I think is critical. So in any orientation that HR people are doing, it would be very good to give the employee, even a young person going into one small corner of the organization, sense of how she or he fits in the entire bigger picture.
That's interesting. Okay. So, I mean, any quick, when you pivoted from a senior leadership into a CEO role, what changed in your, because now you are in control of many of the decisions. Usually, when you are even at a senior leadership, you still are not fully authorized to make many of the decisions. What changed there, and what was the key learnings there?
I think what changed there was you could actually do something about stuff you were complaining about earlier. But what I did was I brought a lot of the learnings from the newsroom to the boardroom in that sense. So techniques I used to manage the news floor. And you find that some of it works actually. Some of it does not work, but quite a lot of it works because people are roughly the same. The sales guys will identify very quickly with deadlines, speed, that kind of thing.
Correct.
Circulation guys are all about logistics and planning. Circulation of a newspaper I'm talking about. The digital guys anyway straddle the two worlds. So journalism is becoming increasingly digital. So the digital business is drifting towards, I mean, the two are moving towards each other in that sense. So what changes is that you deal more with the board, you deal more with the financials. So if you have a head for numbers to some extent, or at least you understand, you know what questions to ask, you typically have a CFO and a team of 10 people sitting there who will run you through this. So you should not be afraid to ask the questions, but go prepared when you are coming new into the role, because you want to be taken seriously also. You can't be asking a completely clueless question as, please explain the whole thing to me, sort of thing.
Got it.
You got to do some homework and go there and demonstrate very quickly that you are picking up stuff fast, and ask the odd question to keep people off balance occasionally.
Okay.
I think it's critical. It's a good thing. You're not doing it to.
But I think it's also anybody's mindset, right? If you're too comfortable in a role, then you're not pushing yourself. But if you're pushed too much, then you kind of break. I think that is typically.
So you just have to kind of understand again what the tolerance to breaking is in the teams. You got to be careful that you stay within that, but challenge people so that it's not just people coming in at 9, leaving at 5.
Correct.
And it just becomes life as usual, because the organization doesn't grow at all then.
Correct. What are the key? Of course, you talked about equality, but is there anything that you learned about managing people during the period of last almost is your CEO role now almost 10?
Senior, no, it's about 5 years in the other place, and now a few 4 months here.
So what is your
my 6th year.
key thing about? I mean, even as a senior manager, you should have handled a lot of people, right? So what is the thing about managing people which is very critical to make an environment where it's.
So I think you need to be very fair. I mean, you can't play games. You can't be playing one against the other. You need to have empathy at very basic level. You don't need to be agony aunt, but people need to feel that you feel for them.
Okay.
And this you can transmit in various ways. It isn't always going and putting your arm around somebody's shoulder. So it's essentially being there for them, being fair to them, challenging them, and making a path for them to grow, I think. That has not always been successful endeavor, because sometimes opportunities are limited, resources are limited. You may want to pay people much more or send people on to courses. I think in an educational institution that's much better, but in many other places the opportunities for training, unfortunately when budgets get cut, training is one of the first ones that gets cut. Training and marketing. So those things you should fight for and make sure that people get the opportunities to get ahead. And at some point you may want to say bye in a good way. In a sense, you are developing people. I mean, in a most selfish way, you'd say, if I'm going to be CEO for 5 years, I want all the people here for at least 5. The moment I go, they can go. But that's not really the way. You should also be prepared to develop people on the fast track so that they leave in 3 years if needed.
Correct.
And then you get other people in. It's of course, you don't want a revolving door where people are leaving every year, but a 3-4 year horizon where they really burn brightly in those 4 years, as opposed to, just going on at a... It's much better to have very high performance over a medium period than to have a long average over a very long time.
You spoke about learning, right? I'm sure when you're managing large teams, learning initiatives is one of the key in terms of upskilling them and things like that. I want both the perspective, right? I mean, in perspective of a CEO or a leadership team, how do you incorporate the learning mindset into a junior staff who is entering into the workspace? And as a staff who is entering into the workspace, what should their learning mindset need to be currently? Because also in the context of adaptability and things are changing very fast. So how does that two go together and independently also?
Right. So I'll talk of this from the employee standpoint first. So and I'll give the example of Reuters, where it is a fantastic organization for training. Since they have very high standards of writing and journalism, they make sure that the people they want to train get the best training. So they will send you to various geographies. They'll send you to they will pick you up, they'll put you on a fast track list if they believe that you have it in you, and they will give you the best possible training. And that best possible training can be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in a different location altogether. Some of their most senior people will come and spend very good time with you. They will take the trouble of looking at your copy, correcting it themselves, giving you feedback. A wonderful place. Even there, unfortunately, budgets were cut over a period of time. It became more and more online, but nothing like a classroom education. So you feel you are looked after from day one. Of course, you have to show that aptitude, and then you will be picked up and just carried on by that. The big wave will keep carrying you. If you're good, you will almost certainly make it there. So an organization should have that sort of mechanism wherein it has a fast track, and not everybody will make that list. One has to face that fact. But at least the good people will always be getting. So there should be a base level of training for everyone, and those who show extra potential, there should be something that lifts them above and beyond. And as a manager, I think, as a newsroom manager, I would actually run classes of my own. I would take time off, even when I was CEO. I'd take two days off and go and train the newsroom. So I would run, inspired by Reuters, I would run training programs for. So this would involve simulation, case studies, what is happening when a rate cut decision is happening, a race riot is happening at the same time, communal riot. Two things are happening, you are reporting on this. You throw people into various situations. So when they see that their CEO or their editor or a senior member of the organization is invested in it, you will find the team beginning to respond really well. So the key thing from a junior's point of view is to feel that the opportunities for learning are there. And if I ask, I will get. And from a senior's point of view, you have to go and illustrate that to the team periodically. It can't be a once in and out. So you got to do that. You have to have a trainer in residence, ideally a training team, a learning team, definitely. So many organizations have this. They have their own learning centers, the bigger ones. Many of them have L&D programs where they collaborate with people. They take courses from institutes, educational institutes, that kind of thing. So I think that money is very well spent, and I don't know how much of that is realized. But if I had the wherewithal, I would spend much more on learning, training.
How do you personally, for example, upskill yourself and keep updated with the latest things? I'm sure you would be doing.
Oh, yeah, I certainly need to. I mean, I think my career path has helped me in the choices that I have made. So I have made difficult choices and learnt on the job. Actively, the real challenge is actively, when you're not changing lines or changing jobs, to do something completely unconnected. Like suppose now I come and learn AI at your feet. I mean, it may not be something that I use immediately, but can I carve out the time to go there and learn that?
Correct.
That I have not really managed so far, and that is something I should be doing. So I think the challenges, the best challenges are those which you take on without knowing whether you will be able to come out alive on the other side, right? So as the Chinese proverb, which goes, it's slightly different context, the Chinese proverb of crossing the river by feeling the stones. So you get into the river and then you feel the stones and you go.
Okay.
I mean, I'm changing the context a bit. There it really means going incrementally and not jumping from one into the other.
Correct.
I'm saying get into the river and then you will figure out how to get to the other side. So learning is all about that. And learning when you are in a demanding role is all the more important, but all the more difficult.
That's great. So, I mean, so that may be your shift from journalism to IIMBx as an educational technology, and you're feeling this one. How is that shift? I mean, IIMBx is a digital learning team. We are focused on online teaching, learning, and things like that. How do you see the potential of online teaching and learning definitely contributing to the learning of the young minds?
Oh, I think the potential is endless. It is a fantastic thing to happen. I mean, I'm seeing it from the inside now. I was experiencing it from the outside earlier. So you can scale effortlessly. I mean, effortlessly, maybe exaggerating it a bit because we know the effort that goes into it, but apparently effortlessly. From the outside, you don't see the effort. And to be fair, in going from 100 learners to 1,000 learners, there is not a 10 times effort increase
compared to a face-to-face.
So yeah, and it's not a one-for-one progression. So you can train 10,000 people with very similar to the kind of effort you're taking for 100 people.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so some of the online sessions may be more difficult to run when you have big groups, but if you're doing asynchronous video, then you can reach people, a huge number of additional people with almost no additional cost. So in a country like India, where access is still somewhat limited and incomes are still somewhat low, average incomes, this makes absolute sense. The key then is to track the learning outcomes and to track where learners go by picking up and by staying in touch with your learners, by making it, as far as possible, making it a somewhat hybrid experience. You give them the sense of the offline, even though the bulk of the teaching is online. And I'm sure there are many more qualified people in IIM and IIMBx to talk about this than me. But I'm giving you an outsider's inside-out perspective in that sense, since I'm very new to the system.
Sure. How is the parallels between the journalism world that you have been and now you are in the system? Do you draw parallels on the both the fields?
Yeah, I mean, I think quite a lot.
Media,
quite a lot, because it is all about content. What we do here is a different type of content, but it is content nevertheless. It is about building engagement with learners. There it was building engagement with readers. And at a commercial level, okay, before we get to the commercials, there it is about reach. So there it is about reaching the maximum number of readers, maximum number of circulation and readership, which are slightly different. So each paper is read by 2 people or by 4 people. So you sell an X number of copies, it is read by 2x number of people or 4x number of people. So you try and penetrate the throughout the Karnataka market in the case of some papers, or the India market from various hubs. Here it is about reaching the maximum number of people online. There also, of course, you have an online media component where you try to build readership, unique views, unique users, that kind of thing. Here you're trying to reach the maximum number of people and bring the maximum. I think the thing that the biggest commonality of the two is impact. There you're trying to bring about one kind of impact that could range from exposing corruption to lighting street lights in dark parts of Delhi by saying, running a campaign in Hindustan Times saying these are dark areas, they need lighting. The corporator and the government will read it in the morning and wake up. Here it is bringing about massive impact by lifting education standards, awareness, data, information, wisdom, etc. is going through our pipes to the country and beyond.
That's great. How should a student leverage some of these online courses which are available from even top universities, not only from IIMB, from various other universities right now? What is your perspective on that? I mean, usually when you look at even MOOCs courses, the dropout rates are very less. People are not actually using it as effectively as it should be. What is your...
Yeah, I think that comes down to 2 things, of course. One is the learner's own propensity to learn, how serious they are, and how much they need it. So learning for the sake of fun, or just even as they say, learning for the sake of learning is one thing. Learning when you really need it, where it will make a difference to your life. So the analogy I draw is news you can use. News you can use is stuff that will change your life. If you don't know it, you're a lallu. I mean, you can't get on with it. You need to know that.
Correct.
Right? How to do your KYC, for example, is news you can use. Similarly, learning you can use is the most effective kind of learning. So if the utility is described or the utility is known by the learner, they will learn more, is my belief. Again, as I say, no expert in this matter yet, but learning. The second one is from our standpoint, how do we make it more engaging for them?
Correct.
And you will see that in our videos, we use a lot of graphics. We have learners who are shown on some of our videos. We have people who are, we had one of the professors showing a couple of characters, animated characters talking to each other, asking him questions. So a good way for learners online to learn is for those animated characters to anticipate their questions and ask those questions. I mean, effectively, it's the professor who is anticipating, telling the animated entity what to ask.
But it still gives a simulation
of a question. The other thing that could be done is shooting in a classroom. So there you get a sense, the person outside gets a sense of belonging in a classroom. That comes with its challenges, but I don't think that's insurmountable.
Okay. Just moving on, we can't stop the conversation without AI, right?
Oh, right, of course.
So I'm sure the technology is changing a lot of industry. I'm sure digital publishing industry is changing a lot because of this thing. Our education industry is changing. Journalism per se, recently there was this news like YouTube is going to cut down on monetization for AI generated content. So, and because of the fact that there's an avalanche of content being generated online, You speak a lot about fake news also. So in this amidst, how do you see the role of AI technology shaping education, and what should a student or a early career fellow need to be aware of this technology?
So, from my sense of it, and again, my knowledge is somewhat limited, it is a tool you can use as long as you're using the tool and the tool is not using you. I think in your, if I may touch upon it, your preparation for this interview, AI threw up a lot of results which took you slightly, and a good thing you checked with me, because these were things I never said. So you never know when hallucinations happen or when it is complete falsehood. So we experience that in the news space. In the learning space, it is even more dangerous. I mean, you're actually, so you really need to be careful with what you do. But we have started preparing videos, the background production for videos using a little bit of AI.
Correct.
The edit notes as to how videos are to be edited. Uses artificial intelligence, where it does a great job, I think. And your team has been working on this, the lab that we have in house. So I think I'm learning a lot from that. But there is a bit of skepticism when I see emails written by ChatGPT. When you speak to the person, you can figure out in a matter of seconds that they have not written it of their own. So you begin to question what is authentic. And I think authenticity is an underrated virtue, really. People begin to, you look around you in the news space. We made this mistake. I mean, there is so much fake news going around. There's so much AI generated news. There is also human generated fake news. And there are fake images. So you, at some point, you become very cynical and you don't know what to believe.
Correct.
We don't want to go there with the education space, the sacred space. We want to be very careful with what we do. So I think whatever we do needs to be carefully policed. We need to use it for the best it can do for us. And there's a great deal we can do, and you know much better than I do, in terms of crunching production timelines, in terms of doing more efficient work, in terms of generating ideas. And I've experimented with that in the media space also. You can ask AI some startup ideas for a media enterprise. It will give you, and you can ask good questions, get good answers. Fairly impressive, because I'm in a position to know if those answers are right or not. So I have a sense that it was fairly good. Even this was about a year back. So now process optimization using AI is a wonderful place to be in.
How should I'm just looking at a young career member. There are so many AI tools happening. There are everything that used to be a career is no more a career, like blogging, writing. I don't know, like all that writing jobs. Now you actually don't know whether, as you said, it's fake or original. How should those, especially with your media career, I want to focus on that journalists who want to enter into that space. How should they adapt to this? Should they focus on authenticity? Should they focus on using AI tools for writing? How should they be looking at it?
I mean, I would say they should not use AI tools for writing, other than maybe to check for, which we could have done earlier with Grammarly and spell check. That's fine. But the actual writing, so in my head, clear writing shows clear thinking. And if you're going to outsource your writing to a machine, you are giving up your thinking as well.
That's the most important part.
It is a discipline. I mean, if you're able to write clearly, you can think clearly. One leads to the other, and the other leads to one, in that sense, right? If you can write clearly, to labor the point, but if you can write clearly, that you can think clearly, and if you can think clearly, you can write clearly. Right. So it's a loop, and you don't want to break that loop. You don't want to sacrifice that. In journalism, for example, a lot of the skill lies in the reporting, going out, asking the right questions, digging, developing sources. And I don't think there's any AI yet which can take a source out for a drink in a shady pub somewhere in Mumbai and get information out from them, right? And God knows what will happen 2 years down the line. But as of now, this does not exist. What AI could be used for is to crunch a lot of data and to look at all the background before you go for your interview. You can collect a lot of, as long as it's correct, you can collect a lot of information and go much better prepared.
Correct.
Whether it actually does the job for you later is a different matter altogether.
Makes sense. That's really great. I think we have covered a lot of different topics on the way. But if you have to share one or two or three key learnings from curating all the discussions that we have had so far, in terms of the learning mindset, that is our key topic. So, what should a person who has no clue, clueless about what he wants to do in career, because mostly if you talk to young people, because they are clueless because of the market is also very adaptive and changing. What would be your 1 or 2 recommendations to them for when they are entering into this workspace?
So I'll go back to what I said about the question funnel. Ask the right questions, ask open questions, ask a lot of questions, follow through logically on those questions. Then you can process the answers and come to your own intelligent conclusions about what you want to do.
Yeah.
Feel free to experiment. Try different things. I mean, okay, you have the option of doing what I did over a 30-year career and try different lines of work over a period of time, which many people do. I mean, they do pivot from one to the other. Or you can do all your pivoting very early on and then decide on something and do very well at it. That's a good, if you can manage
And
that.
don't worry
fantastic.
about the failures that you
Don't worry
happened
about
in
the
the
failures.
experiments.
And the one I like quoting is the one about feeling the stones as you cross the river. So you jump into the river and then you cross the river by figuring out where the stones are. So don't worry too much about prior preparation. This, of course, runs slightly counter to what I said earlier, but this is within each experiment. Don't be afraid to experiment.
Correct.
You can finish with all your experimentation and then go into one field at a certain period in time.
Correct.
But ask a lot of questions, experiment, and trust the process. Okay, so get in, even if you're not sure that you'll come out on the other side, jump right in and see how it goes, because chances are that you will not jump, your natural programming will be such that you will not jump into a river that you can't come out of.
Correct.
Somewhere inside something will tell you that this is not for me. So get in, figure it out. There may be, you may not make an A to B, so you may go to A to C to D to B eventually. But that's experience comes cheap at any price. So I think that's
experience comes cheap at any price. Okay, that's a
put
quote.
that in your pipe and smoke it. I mean, it's basically you can always put it down to experience. I mean, okay, bad experience, good experience, but you learned something from that.
That's great. Okay, I think it was a wonderful conversation. I hope if there's anything else,
I'll scratch my head and think about it. But I think that was it.
Okay.
But thank you for having me. Most interesting, and good luck with Sangam. I'm a great fan of it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes.